for us needs no introduction. He really for us needs no introduction, but he wrote such a great bio. I'm just going to I'm going to read it verbatim. Born in Aberdeen, went to high school in Olympia, college football and baseball player at Central Washington, coached baseball professionally for 15 years. Been a serial entrepreneur my whole life, started selling Angora rabbit fur as a kid, figured out I could sell their crap too. Just put my little brother on the red wagon, and the old ladies in the neighborhood had to have it for their gardens. Apparently his little brother is cuter than him, or at least was. We had some pretty gardens in Cosmopolis. Bought a West Coast League 7 years ago, the Kitsap Blue Jackets. Had the team in Kitsap for 2 years while I looked for a place to relocate. Been in Port Angeles for 5 years. This will be our 4th season. Relocated my family to PA after the first season. My oldest son, Cole, is a sophomore at Port Angeles High School. The youngest, Cade, is in 5th grade at Franklin. Both are quarterbacks, shortstops, and pitchers. My wife, Kyra, is the director of finance and personnel for the Port Angeles School District. So thank you for being with us, Matt, and be careful driving, okay?
Yeah, I will. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm talking to you guys and making sure that I have the 3 vehicles, the 3 vans behind me still around. And I am coming up on Discovery Bay, so if I cut out, that's where it is, and I'll get right back on. So anyway, and I may ask a couple times if you guys are there, just in case I'm not talking to myself. So if someone answers, that'd be great. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, so we want to talk about soccer, or what? What are we talking about?
Gymnastics.
Nothing? Okay.
Gymnastics.
Yeah. All right. So we started about a week ago. Our first game was on the 1st. So we had our first week. We were had a 5-1 week, and it was great getting off and winning a series on the road. And then we actually had the weird schedule where we had to play Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday this week, and against Corvallis, which is the best team in the country, and had 3 games that we coulda, shoulda, didn't win, but we're in all 3. And early in the season, I was happy that the guys really fought hard, and it's tough to come back when they haven't been playing and they're fresh, and we're just played 6 days in a row. And then our first off day since we came together really on the 30th was yesterday. So, and everybody feels refreshed, and they bounce back really quick when they're young like that. Us coaches, we need those days off because it can be a lot. But and as you can tell, I'm back coaching again. So that's what I've done more in my career is, coach than actually operate. And I've been setting myself up and everything up since I've been here to be in a different position then to operate and run everything. It's not that I didn't enjoy that. It's just not, I had to work really hard to do that job because it's not something that I'm built for. And so
Discovery Bay.
Discovery Bay. Gotta love it.
To me, coaching, I was going to have other, and I'm happy to do their learning jobs. She said, "You're the one that designed this for a coach, and I think that you should go at least model on how it should be done." And she also thought it was probably a good idea for the staff to not have me there available because I am a worker by nature, and I would go help them, and they may not learn their jobs if or as well as they could if I was doing their jobs. So I agreed with that, and that's why I am where I am. Is everybody there? Because I'm going through the spot I always lose Cole.
Yes.
Yeah, we keep
Yep. All right,
losing.
I hear
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm almost through the area where I lose people, and then I'll be good. So anyway, I'm back coaching, and I'm excited to be back coaching. And this is a really good group of coaches and players that have come from around the country, and I'm proud to have them represent us.
I think he said he's proud to be Canadian.
And that's kind of where we're at right this year. Obviously, we're doing our best to adhere to those. And I'm almost through the area. Hold on.
Just a
Yeah.
little bit of
Can you,
slurred
can,
speech
can you
is
hear?
okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. All right, so yeah, we should be good for the next while here. But anyway, yeah, we're excited to have some stuff that we're going to be adding through the year. So every series we're adding new things, and it actually probably worked out good for our operators to have kind of a slow start because of the state regulations. But pretty soon we're going to open up the party deck. We have not had Wi-Fi at the park, which is has been very difficult, but if our operators can deal with that now, then they can deal with anything. And we actually just got Wi-Fi yesterday officially.
Wow.
So, and our POS systems, our ticketing systems, our cameras, everything relies on Wi-Fi. And I had a great system in there a couple of years ago, and the city had taken it out because they wanted to upgrade. And they just got it done, and so we're excited that it's done. And it's been tough to start without it. So if we can survive that, then we can probably figure it out on anything when it comes to operations. But I do have to credit a lot of it. Besides the workers that I hired to take my jobs, my wife stepped up and helped a lot as the calming force and showing people where to go and what to do. So a lot of appreciation for her coming in and, last minute in the night after she's been working all day and, making sure she's answering questions and helping people kind of cope with some of the struggles that we were faced with early. So anyway, that's the start of the season. That's where we're at. We are going to be opening the party deck, so that's going to be something for groups that we have not even opened yet. And we're going to try to get as many groups as we possibly can on those dates. I believe that we're going to start having those sold for July. And we have quite a few home games this season, more home games than we've ever had, not having the Canadian clubs in our league. So we're doing we're using that to our advantage. So I just got a message that I lost one of the vans, so I'm gonna pull over to the side of the road. Hopefully everybody can hear me still. But that's kind of where we're at. Do you guys have any questions for me?
A ton of questions for you.
Bring them.
One of mine is, Matt, I've known you since you came to town and everything, and you're quite the entrepreneur. And I'd like to know how you feel about, would you rather be the entrepreneur or the coach?
I want to be, I enjoy being I enjoy doing both. What I don't want to be is the operator.
Okay.
So I don't know if that makes, being a coach is actually affords me more time to do entrepreneurial things. Being an operator takes all that time away. So I actually have more time on my hands coaching than I ever did as an operator. I may be out of town more often during the summer months, but when I'm in a hotel room, I'm not distracted by something that needs to, someone needs something needs to get done here. I have someone doing that day-to-day stuff. And that's a huge help. And that makes a big difference on, it's affording me more time, if that answers your question. So I actually enjoy doing both of those, and actually done more entrepreneurial things as a coach than I have the last few years as an operator. Thus the restaurant downtown.
Yeah, and I was going to congratulate you on the Roosevelt. It's a fantastic little place, and I think you're doing a great job for PA to open that. So
thank you. Yeah, and that's so I've had, when it comes to the Lefties. Thank you. When it comes to the Lefties, I have a much more singular focus because I'm taking care of the roster, the team, my coaches, and it's a lot less moving parts than taking care of, the Wi-Fi goes down and the ticketing system's messed up and the, toilets overflowing and the beer kegs are, not pouring right. And I have someone that's paid to go do that now. And so I don't.
We appreciate you doing what you do and everything, and we really appreciate you partnering with us and allowing us to, do our Lefties bingo. And it's something that was thrown together, and you were very open to it, and we really do appreciate that.
Well, I love those kind of things. Any kind of connection that we can have with the community is that's what we're here to do. We're here to be a glue in the community. It's the same thing as when you fly through an airport, you're in Dallas, and you see someone in a Seahawk sweatshirt, you say, "Go Hawks," right? Because that's a larger scale nationally with a professional team. On a smaller scale, our job is to connect our community. So nonprofits and businesses, that's what we're here to do. So people ask me all the time, like, why are you helping with such and such business that's coming into town? Well, because it's beneficial to what I do, and it's what we're here to do. Our function is very similar, honestly, to what the EDC does. And I actually talk to the EDC quite often because what's best for the community economically is what's best for us. And that's what our design, any professional sports team, that's what they're there to do. And teams that miss that are missing the boat and don't actually have success. So any kind of idea like those, I'm in. Any business that I can attach with the charity is perfect. I mean, that's like literally the stuff I'm looking for. And we obviously are an advertising source for businesses, but we're also a source for businesses that may not need that kind of advertising, but they want to show what they're about. And I think that's really important for some businesses that, everybody knows who Interfor is, or everybody knows, who Lakeside is, but really, do Interfor and Lakeside need a field sign at the Lefties? They don't. What they need to show is who they're about and what they're about. And that's why I'm happy to be doing things with companies like those. And I think that's important because they employ a lot of people in our communities, and they're strong companies. And so, yeah, that was a good question. And I really think that I'm always looking for those ideas, especially even during like the season. This year, it's kind of fun. I mean, I kind of look at everything as a positive. We're in a tough situation, but we can add things as the year goes on, and people are going to understand, and then we can build on it moving into the future. So I looked at the situation as a positive, and I've actually had more time this year to come up with those creative ideas, especially with a more singular focus when it comes to operations.
Matt, would you tell us a little bit about the players and where they come from, their level of experience, and also how do you get them? How do you decide who's on your team?
They're decided through on our team via the network, which is a very, very small network. And I've in the past helped coaches get a couple players, but this team was put together by myself and really one one coach, and very few. We didn't have a whole big work party on it. So these are, if it's different from the other groups that have been here so far. This team is much more so
Okay.
you go through the network. So you start with the colleges, the scouts that you're connected to. You say, okay, what are your top prospects that you're connected? 30 names, half of the coaches on that list, and then I go call those coaches, and they say, hey, yeah, this guy's available. And then after you go through the MLB field, then you go through the colleges, and so you call, USC or UCLA. Like, I'm good friends with John Savage at UCLA. And then he tells me the player, and then I go backwards and cross-reference through the scouts. Like, I may not know the Cincinnati Red Scouts that love a certain player that's going to UCLA, but the college puts me in that direction. And then after that is when you have to take a flyer and either trust a scout and you don't know the college, or trust a coach, a college, and you don't know the scout, if that makes sense. These players are from all over the country. Tulane, Wisconsin, UCLA, Purdue, yeah, all over. Like, and then we have two Japanese players that have been with us on the road, that are Edmonds Community College, that are pretty phenomenally. They're talented. I didn't see it coming. Their two little guys showed up, and I'm like, and I know the coach there really well, and he's actually coaching with us. And I looked at these two little guys, and I'm like, who brought their little brother? Because the rest of these guys are enormous human beings, and these two guys are maybe 5'5", 5'6", but man, they play big. They're pretty impressive. But the level of talent, we are normally at a low A level. So most people think that it's single A, double A, triple A, Major League Baseball. Really, there's 6 levels of minor league baseball. You have the instructs and the player development leagues, a low A, a high A, double A, triple A, Major League Baseball. And we always play at the low A level because we have the top college prospects. So when they get drafted out of our league, they end up going straight across to low A, sometimes high A. This year, with COVID red shirts, minor league baseball was cut by 40%, which is great for us. It's great for, I think, the American student athlete also. It's great for college baseball, but it's backed up the system. And so our league is no question playing at a high level this year because the draft was smaller. There's more players in the system, and that's across the board. So at the high A level, a player is between 2 and 3 years away from being on TV, being on a major league team, to give you a reference. So our first year Lefties players, even with all the stuff we're doing, are now, we have 2 of them are in AAA. So, and that kind of puts it on par with, they went back to 1 more year of school and then were drafted, and we have multiple players in AAA baseball right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see them called up 3 years later to a major league. Did I come through on that one?
Yes, you did. Kathy, you want to take yourself off mute?
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Just to show your diversity, can you share about your restaurant? There were some questions from the rest of the group that weren't aware, and I'd love to hear how that came about, even with COVID, and how you put that together.
Well, I put that together. Eric Marks came to me and asked me if I would put something in that space, because he had a really good person in there with the Wine on the Water with Steve McNabb, who I think's a wonderful person. But Steve had a lot going on, and it didn't coincide with what Eric Marks wanted in there with time. He wanted something that was consistent. And so they parted ways, and then Eric actually had some other things ready to go in there, and they fell through during COVID. And he knew that he didn't want to wait any longer to have such a good space not be used. And so he came to me and said, would you be interested in opening a restaurant? And I told him, no, I mean, absolutely not. I know food through doing stadium stuff, but that's not my forte. Selling alcohol is. I know how to do that at a high level, actually, but I don't feel comfortable with a restaurant. And then I walked through the space a few times and I kind of saw the potential there. But it was still fearful. I was still, out of my element when it comes to like cooking food. I do have a cousin though that is a chef. And he's had restaurants in Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Palm Springs, and actually retired at like 42 years old. And he met his wife in his 30s, and they basically have a farm in Beaumont, California. And he, as a retirement job, because he, like me, wants to keep working, he made these mobile ovens, and it grew and it grew. So he now has 14 mobile ovens that take his food from his farm in Beaumont and go to events in San Diego, Los Angeles, and Palm Springs. And so I knew that, and I knew what a high-level chef that Tony and his wife Victoria are. So after seeing the space, multiple times, I just said, I went down and my boys and I drove my dad back down to Palm Springs, and we went a little bit earlier because I knew it was hot, because I kind of had an idea in the back of my head. And I asked him what it would take and the things that I needed to do, and he loaded up one of his mobile pizza ovens onto my trailer, and it was 117 degrees out. And his wife is originally from Russia by way of the University of Wisconsin. And she left Wisconsin to run a kitchen for someone that opened a restaurant in Palm Springs, and that's where my cousin Tony and Victoria met. But she does not like the hot weather. And so I asked at the right time, so maybe it was a little pre-planned, and if they would come up and take a look. So they came back up north with me and saw the space, and fell, they knew it. Like, they knew right away, like this would work. My cousin doesn't cook on, he won't cook on gas. He won't cook on propane. He will only cook on wood, cook anything that he doesn't, and those are things that have been important to him. So he grounds his own wheat. He has his own yeast strain. He's pretty hardcore into what he does. So what he did is he came up and taught a couple of cooks on what to do, and he's basically running the kitchen. We've had a very simple menu to start, but Tony's going to be up here next Wednesday, and so is Victoria. So even though there's such a shortage for cooks, which has been an issue for everybody, including us, because I had 3 cooks last week at this time, and today I only have 1, because they can just walk away, and they did, and I was shocked by that. But I'll gain 2 chefs next Wednesday, and when Tony gets up here, he's already been working on sourcing things, because he can't grow it all here yet. He's looking for land to have a little farm, but he's going to have to source some things locally. He loves to work with stinging nettles, and he loves to work with some sort of different kind of fish that we have here. He likes octopus. There's a bunch of stuff from the Northwest that he doesn't have in the desert that he's excited to work with up here, but he's going to have to source them and trust those sources. And so I'm excited to see when he gets here how our menu expands and changes. But the gourmet pizza thing was a good start. And there's a lot of pizza in Port Angeles, and I think they're different from each other, and they're good. Tony's pizza is literally nothing like anything in town. You could have something, a different kind of pizza the night before or after. It's not the same thing. And that's something that we've had to explain to people, but that will pretty soon just be an item on our menu, because Tony will expand into some other things that are, I think, a lot more eclectic. But redoing the place, the folks at the wharf were really wonderful to work with, and they helped in the process. And I also have another cousin who is a finished carpenter, and he makes props and movie sets and theater sets for movies and television and theaters. And his main place is the McCallum Theater in Palm Desert. So all the big shows, Cats and Barry Manilow and all that great stuff, my cousin Blair comes through and makes things. So what I did, because I like doing this stuff, is I went and found the items that are in the place. So the only thing that's brand new in the entire restaurant is a fireplace insert, because I couldn't get one of those used. Everything else we made or repurposed, and that was something that we haven't really shown that to everybody. And I've written something up that will go on the back of the menus. But we repurposed the bar back. It was from Aberdeen. It was built in 1870. I was pretty sure I was taking that thing to the dump when I picked it up. It was in a warehouse in Olympia. And my cousin brought it back to life. And I'm also not a good artist in any means whatsoever. I'm design, I have the creativity, and I'm demo. I can tear stuff down, but like drawing and the technical stuff, I'm not good at. Having my cousin Blair here was really a big deal, because whatever I could explain things to him, and then he could build them. So it was really fun to have really three cousins and myself doing all the work. That's why we didn't need really contractors, anything. We brought in people when we needed them, but mainly for plumbing and electricity. Everything else was us, physical labor. So it was kind of fun to be trapped in there November, December, January, February, even into March, with me and three cousins. And all our other cousins would call. There's 36 cousins. And it was fun to FaceTime them in, or be on a big conference call, and they all tell us what they think, and a lot of memories, and it was a pretty special experience. So again, we made it was fun to do that with them, for all of us to kind of be together. And even the cousins that weren't here I felt that they were still involved. I don't think that there was a cousin that wasn't on a phone call with us at one point or another, wanting to know what was going on and seeing if we were killing each other, locked in the same room. But they all knew, if my cousin Blair is here, who's the most peaceful, Zen-ish person you can imagine, it's pretty hard to ever get upset with Blair around, because he's calming. And so everybody knew it would work, because Tony and I could kill each other if we were actually locked in a room for 4 months together. But you can't do that when Blair's around, because he just makes you smile when you see him. So it was a fun experience to do, and we, handcrafted the tables and reused stuff from Fanatica's and the old Tap House 51 and New Day Eatery, and learn how to, refinish things. And I could come up with crazy ideas, and I had somebody that understood what I was speaking of and could actually build it, which was kind of a neat experience. So it was a really fun project. But I knew from the get-go that the space was a great space. My cousin cooks at a high level. I can definitely run the alcohol, and I had somebody in my other cousin that could build, to that level. And my whole point was not to do anything else that people in Port Angeles were doing, but rather do the things that I felt were missing, like corner booths and neighborhood seating and privacy booths, and a sophisticated element in a larger space, but didn't feel open. And what I had always pictured in my head was the Spar, which is now a McMenamins in downtown Olympia, which I had great experiences in when I was a child in Aberdeen, and we'd go meet my grandparents there, and I'd sit at the bar, and you were allowed to sit at the bar, and to see Olympia lawmakers making deals in the privacy booths. And then later on, when I was over 21 and living in the town, to see the lights turn down, and it had a really sophisticated atmosphere, and kind of turned into like almost like a speakeasy. And I thought that was, you know, something that was really neat. I learned a lot as a kid and as a young adult from that establishment, you know, and I thought that we have some nice restaurants in town, but they're small. And, you know, I just thought this was a good space to do that. That's why we blew the wall out in there and why we set up the way we did.
Hey, Rebecca's got a question. Rebecca?
Thanks, Chris. Hey, Matt, it's so funny you mentioned McMenamins, because I remember a few years ago, you and I were talking about the old high school up on 8th Street. Are you in any conversations with McMenamins possibly coming up here and looking at that building?
I've been bugging them for 6 years before I even came up here. No, I don't speak for the school district. If I don't know, I mean, my wife would be involved in that, and I don't even know if the school district would even sell. But
Right.
I know what they do, and it's not just that building. There's other buildings in town that McMenamins would be a phenomenal place, and I think that we're on their radar now. Plus, I'm just not going to go away. I'm pretty persistent.
No, I know you are.
Yeah, I think that, and I know.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, group, if you guys aren't familiar with McMenamins, I think that they would be an amazing fit for Port Angeles. So make it happen, Matt.
Well, TJ, I know him pretty well, and he's the person. Like, he's the person that's would make, you know, the decision and point the company where they're gonna go. And I've been on him. And an influencer in their circle is a man named Yogi Jensen, who is with the Alderbrook, and you know, those fancy places. You know, the Cedarbrook, and there's like, I don't know, that he owns like, I don't know, 40 of them or 50 of them, of those really high-end resort places. And we became friends through a basketball coach of all places that I was at a owner's meeting, but his name's Yogi. So you got to ask, right? Like, whose name is Yogi? Well, his dad played for the Yankees under Yogi Berra, and Yogi Berra had such an impact on his father's life that he named his son Yogi. And so obviously we're going to talk about baseball. And Yogi was the one that introduced me. And I've actually been bothering Yogi too about, you know, one of those kind of Cedar Brooks in Port Angeles also. They're a good fit here. 6 years ago, things were starting. Now things are really moving, and this is a great time for them to come in. And honestly, in the next 4 years, this would be a great tip of the spear move for them. And that's what I've been telling them, like, be at the tip of the spear, because we can only handle so many high end resorts like that. But we definitely can handle them. And you don't want to be at the end and looking at it afterwards and going, oh man, we should have been there. So, and that stuff is beneficial. People wonder why. It's beneficial to, it's what we're supposed to do, first of all, but it's beneficial to what I do. My value of an organization is directly tied to the value of the market that I'm in. So if the market value is increased, and this town, Port Angeles in general, and Sequim go towards Bend, Oregon, more so than Aberdeen, what I do is more valuable. And And so those things are very valuable to our community. They would be big draws. They would pay great salaries, and they would help with our structure of our town.
Okay, Laurel's got a question for you.
Well, actually, I have two. The first one is, what are the restaurant's hours and how did you come up with that name?
So the restaurant hours are right now Tuesday to Saturday, 11 o'clock to 11 o'clock.
Okay.
But we lost 2 cooks in the span of a day. And there's really nothing. I mean, so we have been opening in the evenings for the last couple of days, and we're gonna have to continue to until my cousin gets here on Wednesday. So we have been consistently open. We want to be open 6 days a week, and we want to be open. We'll probably adjust our closing time, which I mean, this is the 7 a.m. group, so I doubt any of you guys are out till 11, 12 o'clock at night often. But I eventually will, once we know when the customer, the data after this year, we'll probably close earlier in the week and stay out open later on the weekends. But right now we're 11 to 11, and that's what we want to be. Lately, with the no cooks, with 1 cook, we're opening at 5 o'clock and 5 to 11 o'clock. And they technically can stay open till 12 o'clock if they want to. And they have on some of these last Fridays. So how did I come up with the name Roosevelt? Well, I was going to go with the name Northwesterner was one of, I had a whole bunch of names, but my mom ruined that because she was a reading specialist, and she was like, so you can do Northwesterner or you can do Northwesterner as a person of the Northwest. And I didn't like the way Northwesterner looked, and I didn't like the way the two separated looked, and it didn't mean what I wanted. And I wanted to combine the two, and my mom was like, you cannot combine those two and make your own word up. It's not okay. So that was out the door. And so I started looking at different options, and I do have, a history. I enjoy history. So I started to do a lot of research on people attached to Port Angeles. And obviously the Roosevelts had a huge attachment to Port Angeles. And the fact that they were cousins, and I was doing all this with my cousins. So after doing, some research and knowing that, Teddy's involvement and obviously the Port Angeles High School Rough Riders, but FDR's and Eleanor's, my grandmother met Eleanor when they came and did the tour, and she met with her at Lake Quinault, where they actually have a Roosevelt room at Lake Quinault. And so I knew that they were out here, and I knew they'd done a tour, and I knew they came through Port Angeles. So I did a lot of research, and I found some really, really neat things about all 3 of them. And I also found out that, most people think that Teddy and FDR are cousins, and they are. But Teddy is actually, or Eleanor is actually Teddy's niece. And Teddy gave Eleanor away at her wedding to FDR. And I thought that was pretty interesting too. So my family's not like that messed up, but I thought it was pretty funny. And that was something that we all laughed at as cousins, working in there at 11:30 at night, with snow coming down, when I would, come up with ideas, and the other 2 were, telling me, well, Tony was telling me I was crazy, and Blair was trying to make it work. And then I would, pop off some historical information, and they would all laugh. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the name right there. And it stuck.
That's fascinating.
Thank you.
Matt, do you still have that newspaper with the pictures of Roosevelt's.
FDR's visit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do, and
Yep. KK and I, well, Ed Bedford and I, we went there with soft opening and had drinks, but KK and I went and had a pizza and a salad, and it was unbelievable. I mean, it was great. KK loved it there. And I said, what a great place for Scott when he becomes president, that we get away and meet somewhere. It's a perfect location for us to meet there. And
Okay, sounds like a great idea.
yeah, it'd be great. And the seating is, I mean, you walk in there and you feel like you're just somewhere else. You're not in Port Angeles. It's really
Okay.
cool.
Well, it was neat when we took up the paint off the floors there. It was you know, you just don't know what you're going to get. It was two different rooms, and one of them was white oak, and the other one was walnut, and they were both beautiful floors. But I had to match them up, and that was a lot of work trying to figure that out. But that's something I can handle, and it had just great bones to it, you know. And even with some of those obstacles, when you're working with a really good product, it comes out nice.
Is talking about we're taking one of our Friday mornings and convert it to a Thursday evening social. So yeah, I'll swing by your place and personally meet you. I've never actually met you, so we'd love to be able to do that. So it's something new we're doing, and just getting together and talking and socializing. So
yeah, we have the space for it. Got good airflow through that place. I think people feel very comfortable there.
okay,
It'd be a great
very
place
good.
for stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah, excellent.
So it's 8 o'clock. Anybody have more questions for Matt?
Nope. Gotta go to work.
Hey
All
Matt,
right.
great
Thank you
job.
for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you didn't crash on us. So I appreciate your time today, and hopefully I'll be able to watch one of your games down there. So appreciate your time, Matt,
Well, we're back.
and your contribution
and
to our community.
Thank you. Well, our next home series is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week.
Okay, very good.
Okay, thanks
And-
for so diversified.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was really
you.
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys having me, and looking forward to seeing you guys out at games
And at the
Very good.
restaurant.
At the
and
Roosevelt.
the restaurant.
Yeah.
All right,
Have
Matt.
a
Thanks,
good day.
and I hope everybody has a
Okay.
good weekend. Enjoy your weekend.